One of the biggest stumbling blocks in a debate about free will versus determinism is that a free willer and a determinist will often be talking on different levels. That's what you're getting at. Different levels of existence altogether. We may as well be speaking different incoherent languages. The issue of semantics is usually because we're talking on different levels. The free willer talks about making decisions freely on the level of our daily conscious perception in the macro world. They believe choices are made as an act of free will, mainly because it feels free. There's this feeling you just can't get away from. The determinist talks in terms of neuron patterns, chemistry, input from outside the body, and insists that choices we make are not free, no matter how free they feel. Think of it this way. We cannot possibly feel every individual neuron and chemical interaction or be aware of all outside input that goes into every nanosecond of our movement or thought. Yet making a choice has to feel like something. Determinists say that it's merely this something that has been misleadingly labeled free will. We could call it anything. Some call it the ghost in the machine, not to imply there's a ghost involved, but more as a way to visualize free will interfacing with our brain. Somehow the ghost in the machine sees through our eyes and animates our limbs and allows us to make free choices. Determinists say that free will is nothing more than a feeling, and in fact, it is precisely the feeling determinism. People just choose to call it free will. So however we feel, this is what it feels like to be in a deterministic causal universe. It just feels really cool. It feels like we're this black hole, and we're really weird because of it. Perhaps the biggest barrier for free willers, I hope no one takes offense, I don't know what else to say. Does anyone have a better idea besides free willers? Not free willies. I don't want to say free will believers. Is free willers okay? Does it sound offensive? Let me know if you have a better idea. Determinists doesn't sound very nice either, so. Okay, so perhaps the biggest barrier is grasping the concept of morality within a deterministic world. Right? After all, why should we be held accountable for our actions if we could not have acted any other way? Again, this is a problem of talking on different levels. A good determinist should explain that they can easily reconcile two ways of viewing the world with regards to morality, the most misunderstood part of the equation. On one level is that of our day-to-day superficial perception, and on this level, morality is absolutely meaningful and important in all ways that it ever was. A determinist easily reconciles this topmost level of our reality, complete with every emotion and sense of freedom we feel, with a much deeper and different level of existence. It's actually kind of hard to explain, but it's really intuitive once you get it. On a deeper level, far removed from our conscious realm, our actions are as determined as the water running out of a sink or a rock on the ground or a falling apple. We are, in fact, an unremovable part of one giant closed system, the universe. The whole thing is ticking away the only way it can. On this level, the choices we make, every possible discrete moment of time, are no more profound than choices of individual water molecules to exit from a faucet when we pull the lever. Nor was pulling the lever any more profound, for it was nothing more than a myriad of complicated mechanisms and overlapping systems inside and outside of our bodies that caused us to pull the lever. In essence, the entire universe caused us to pull the lever. And our pulling of the lever will cause a ripple effect, eventually causing the entire universe to react. One might reasonably ask, how could my turning the sink on affect a rogue planet in a galaxy in the far reaches of space? However subtle it may be, the gravitational whirls and eddies caused by the morphing shape of the water ripples emanates across the entire universe with gravity waves and eventually interacts with everything, albeit infinitesimally. There's no such thing as a separate system. Our bodies can be thought of as systems, certainly, that they overlap with air and water and food, and in fact one becomes the other in a circular fashion. We overlap with other people by interacting, and even more so when women carry babies. The air and water and food also overlaps with other ecosystems and with weather, which interacts with the stratosphere, which in turn is affected by the other atmospheric layers, up to the magnetosphere, which is affected by the solar wind from the sun, whose gravitational field holds our planetary neighborhood together in a delicate orbital balance. And the overlapping planetary gravity wells in our solar system ripple across all of the universe, interacting with every other gravitational dimple and swirl along the way.
So don't turn on the water?
You could wreak havoc. Some innocent rogue planet. Contrary to the robotic reputation determinist thinking has, this is undeniably a beautiful and Zen-like thought, no? I think so. But how can one reconcile this deterministic Zen machinery with the topmost level of our everyday experience? For a determinist, it comes naturally and needs no further discussion. It's a non-issue. For a free willer, it is difficult to view the topic of free will versus determinism on more than one level. And I'm going to skip this next part. And I think I might end up saying this, but I feel like every time I talk to someone who believes in free will, they can only speak on one level, which is the topmost. I feel like I have free will. If I don't have free will, what is morality? And it all just breaks down on our everyday top-level existence.
Well, but
Huh?
I was about to talk about that. Because we know that quantum mechanics is, is probabilistic in nature, right? And the other part of the physics, which is the Newtonian mechanics, right? Everybody thought that it was deterministic, that you have initial conditions in the system, then you will know the future forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what was thought. And then now it came the chaos theory, right? And they tells you, right, that you have deterministic systems, Newtonian systems, but if they are non-linear, then you will have,
We have gotten beyond Newtonian systems, though.
yeah, but what I'm trying to say is the very simple example of determinism, right, which was these Newtonian equations, right?
Uh-huh.
When you go non-linear, right, immediately you break determinism, and then you start finding probabilistic
Well,
nature.
just
in
because
there also.
something's non-linear doesn't mean it's indeterministic. I think you're talking about indeterminism as in quantum level.
Yes, but
because
there is
plenty of stuff is non-linear that's absolutely deterministic.
No, yes,
In
but
fact,
that's right. But the
definition
point
of-
is not like if there are some components that are determinism. The question is all of it deterministic, and that's the problem. Not all of it is deterministic.
Okay, you have really good points. So I talk about indeterminism in the chapter, and I can't remember when I'm getting to it exactly.
Okay.
But
I don't want to extend on that because you are reading. No, I'm here to expose my theory.
Yeah, I am a what we'd call a closet indeterminist. I guess. A lot of people who are determinists, well, of course we know there's quantum particles. We know all that.
Yeah, but
and we tend to just shrug it off because only amongst ourselves we talk about that a lot. We try to figure it out. But when we're talking about free will versus non-free will, when indeterminism comes into the argument, it tends to just confuse the actual real issues you're trying to talk about. Because think of it this way. We're basically cranking away as we go along in real time, and I am going to get to this.
Right,
There might be a quantum indeterministic fluctuation along the way,
Yeah.
but I don't believe that would have anything to do with free will.